It's time to fire this thing up.
Welcome aboard ShipShape TV Essentials. This is your port of call for the most impactful upgrades, expert advice, and hands-on solutions from seasons past. This episode is proudly brought to you by SureHold, because anything worth doing is worth doing bright. From cleaning to protecting and perfecting, SureHold has everything you need to keep your boat shining. Don't just go boating, go showboating. Now, let's hoist anchor and set a course for another exciting episode of ShipShape TV Essentials.
If boating's your game, then you'll agree. ShipShape is the way to be. Out on the lake or on the sea, ShipShape means trouble-free. ShipShape means being neater. ShipShape makes boat work easier. ShipShape is the way to go. The ShipShape Boat Gear Show.
ShipShape, Florida's only boat improvement show, is being brought to you in part by Freedom Marine, where we take a bite out of the high-priced boat dealers, and by the paint professionals at Cape Marina, located in Port Canaveral, and by Florida Watercraft, now with 2 locations to serve you, and by the friendly folks at Boathouse Discount Marine. If you need it, we probably have it.
Thanks again for tuning in to ShipShape, the Boat Improvement Show. I'm your host, John Greviskis, and I'm on location today at the Lighthouse Point Marina near Pompano Beach, Florida, where again we're going to continue the process of our repower on the 42-foot Bertram. Now you may recall last week we started off at DMCI, Diesel Mechanics Co-op in Boca Raton, Florida, where we looked into the procedures involved in choosing the right type of engine for your particular boat. Then we looked at the CAD system, which eliminates quite a few man-hours on the field, and naturally we started building the base model of our MAN engine. Now today we're going to be putting the engines on the boat, as well as looking at some of the systems involved in completing the repower. As always, if there's a suggestion for a project that you'd like to see covered here on ShipShape, please write us a letter or send us a fax.
Write your project suggestions to ShipShape, the TV show. Attention Project Director, Post Office Box 31561, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida 33420. Or fax us at area code 407-626-4348.
And if we use your suggestion on the show, we're going to go ahead and send you out a free ShipShape t-shirt. But right now we need to hear a word from the folks who make this show possible. But you'll want to stick around, because when we come back, we're going to use a crane and actually hoist our multi-ton engines onto the deck of our boat. Stay tuned.
Don't float away. ShipShape. We'll be right back.
No more frozen snaps and zippers with the SureHold Snap Stick. The easy-to-apply wax is specifically designed to lubricate snaps, zippers, and other mechanical fasteners that are susceptible to corrosion. Add protection and lubricate valuable parts in just a matter of seconds. Stop fighting with snaps and zippers and add a quick dab of water-resistant SureHold Snap Stick. SureHold, clean and simple.
Welcome back to today's show. Now, you might have remembered last week we were showing you some of the CAD system of how the repower is going to take place in the office. This is actually one of the first steps involved in doing the repower out on location. What we've got here is the crane, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to walk the MAN engine all the way back to the stern of the 42-foot Bertram. And if you can come on over here, we'll kind of go through the process. Now basically what they're going to be doing is the crane operator is running blind. So they're going to be taking signals from the guys out here at DMCI to go ahead and get the engine back in place. Now we're going to be setting it on the deck today, and we'll get a little bit farther into the repower down the road. But this is the first engine that we're going to be putting onto the boat. And here we go. The lifting process begins. And he's going to lift it straight up. and then bring it over the side. And we're clear. Needs to bring it into place here. Now they're going to ask him to move it a little forward. Now we can go ahead and take the shackles off of our engine and get this crane out of our way to where we can continue into our repower. Now the next step is to go ahead and bring these engines in through this doorway on an A-frame, and come on in here and I'll show you where they're going to go. We're going to lay them down here below. Now these are the stringer caps that Pat was talking about last week, and you can see where our transmission is going to be laying down. That's where that got bolted up, and it's quite an ordeal when you're going through a repower, but the benefits are just immeasurable. It took some doing to bring the engines into the engine room. We use something called an A-frame. Now Pat, can you tell us about your A-frame setup?
Sure. This A-frame has two vertical supports that hold an I-beam. And the I-beam has trolleys on it that enable us to roll the come-alongs that are holding the engine back and forth. So we can go ahead and take this engine and move it, depending on what size I-beam we have, and bring it from the cockpit into the engine compartment.
So it's kind of like a rail system.
It's exactly a rail system. And so that's what we use to get it in the salon and then down into the engine compartment.
Now, did we have to take anything off the engine to get it through the door?
Yes, we did. We had to take the expansion tank off the engine. It was a little too wide for the door, but that's a small price to pay to get it inside the engine compartment and into the salon. There are cases where the engine needs to come apart further to get it in the door, or the door has to be cut apart to get the engine through it. So that all depends on the circumstances.
So this was relatively a simple install here.
Very simple as far as getting it through the door, yes.
Now let's talk about how you've got the engine positioned. What's going on here?
Well, what we've done is we've lowered the engine with the chain falls down into the engine compartment, and we've got a shaft alignment on the with the existing propeller shaft, and we have the engine exactly in position right now, and it is setting on blocks of wood on top of our aluminum caps that we had in the shop.
Okay, so what are we going to have to do? Take some final measurements and make some aluminum mounts?
Yes, it is. What we've done is we've taken the final measurements and cross-checked those measurements with our CAD system, and now we are building aluminum pedestals in the shop that will go on the stringers. And the final pedestal, finished pedestal, will be welded to these stringers in place here on the boat.
Now, Pat, what all is involved once the engines are in? I mean, what kind of, naturally we're going to have to hook up wiring harnesses and things like that, but tell us all the steps involved here.
Well, one of the things that has to happen is, of course, first we get final alignment and we get them bolted down. Now that they're in position the way we have them now, we've been able to measure for all the remaining accessories. For example, the exhaust system. We have this measured. And we've gone ahead, and this is the turbocharger of the engine. So this is the exhaust outlet. And we are making a pipe out of stainless steel. And this exhaust outlet will go towards the aft corner of the boat where it will tie into a surge T and out the exhaust pipe of the boat.
Let me ask you a question on that turbocharger. I was in the Fort Lauderdale Billfish tournament a few weeks back, and we were on an ocean yacht with twin 1200 MAN. Engines in it, and it was turbocharged. Now, are all the MAN engines turbo?
Yes, they are. All the marine engines, as we know them, are all turbocharged, and they have a water-cooled turbo. This turbocharge is freshwater cooled, and this really is an excellent method of doing it. Most of the engines built today have freshwater cooled turbos, but it keeps the risk of a fire hazard. It eliminates it.
Well, I'll tell you, it was probably one of the fastest sport fish boats I've ever been on. Just unbelievable power. Okay, so we look at the exhaust, we get that all set up. We're going to have to do a little bit of custom work there. What about wiring? Anything special here?
Yeah, we've made new wiring harnesses on the engines. This engine is tied in. This engine still needs to be tied in. The harness is all pre-made, but we're connecting it up right now. So the wiring needs to be tied in. The fuel system, we've got the RACOR fuel filters. We're going to service the existing fuel filters and then connect those to the engines. The engines also have linkages where the transmissions are connected to the cables and the throttles are connected. That's all being connected. And then the salt water systems that get the water to the engine, those are being modified and connected to the engines as well.
Talking about modifications, now on a lot of repowers there's quite a bit of modifying that goes. You've really taken your time and done your homework with this particular repower. You're using a lot of existing systems. Can you tell us about that?
Well, yeah, in this case we were able to utilize the exhaust, for example, because the diameter is an 8-inch exhaust and we need a minimum of 6-inch exhaust. So fortunately the main exhaust system of the boat was reusable here in this case. So that's what's happened there. Now the propeller shafts, with the high strength stainless steel that's used today, we can maintain the same diameter propeller shaft, but we needed to replace the shaft because we want to put a stronger metal on it.
Now typically when you're talking about adding horsepower, you're going to have to add diameter in your propeller shaft. Is that correct?
That's correct. In many cases you do. We were in a situation here where the 2-inch diameter was good enough to handle the horsepower provided that the metal was strong enough. We need to have a 5-to-1 safety factor on this propeller shaft, and we were able to accomplish that with the heavier propeller shaft.
Don't pull up anchor. ShipShape's coming right back.
Do it all with a SureHold telescoping handle. Designed with the easy-to-use Sherlock quick-release system, compatible with over 50 different attachments, transforming it into a deck brush handle, squeegee handle, swivel pad base handle, chamois mop handle, camera handle, floor broom handle, boat hook handle, water blade handle, landing net handle, even a threaded handle for equipment you already own, and more. Fully telescopic for easy storage or adjusting to the perfect length. Each SureHold telescoping handle is proudly made in the USA and is truly the one handle that does it all. SureHold, clean and simple.
Now here we have the shaft that we were just talking about. It's an Aquamet 19 shaft. And now we're going to be replacing these with what, Pat?
We're going to be replacing these with Aquamet 22, which is a higher strength alloy.
So by going to a higher strength alloy, we don't have to increase the diameter of the shaft.
That's correct, and that takes a lot of extra unnecessary expense out of the project, where we no longer have to change the struts and running gear on the boat.
So we can keep the same running gear on this boat. Now what about bearings?
The bearings, we're going to put in new bearings. We're putting in new shafts and new bearings, and of course the propellers are being changed as well.
Right. One real tip that I'd like to show you when you were talking about shafts is if you're out there fishing and your line gets into those bearings, it's going to heat up and it's really going to take down some material. You know, that mono will heat up in such a fashion, Pat, that it can actually take down metal from your shafts, which in essence could really cause some problems, couldn't it?
Yeah, it sure has. In fact, that's what's happened here. It's ruined the shaft. John, this is our exhaust outlet, and it's an 8-inch diameter, which is more than adequate for our pair of engines that we've just installed. In some cases, the 6-inch diameter is all that's necessary, but we've got 8-inch. It's more than adequate, and so we're able to use it. The only difference is we have to make an exhaust riser to connect with the other end of this inside the boat.
So in essence, by using the existing system, you're going to be saving the boat owner money on this repower.
Absolutely.
I think that's crucial. Now, when you're talking about increased horsepower here, Pat, are we going to need to increase the ventilation to this boat?
Yes, we will, and let me take you over and show you that right now.
Okay.
John, this is the ventilation system on the boat, and we've got the 2 cowls up on the deck. We've got this main cowl, and then we've got these vent louvers here as well as in the stern. And these ventilation areas provide the engine compartment with the air that's necessary to run the engines.
Now, why is that important?
Well, it's important that the engines get enough air so that they can generate full horsepower, and as well as keep them from smoking. And we can't have that, you know, the exhaust emission is just too much.
Well, let's talk about how many cubic inches of ventilation we have right now.
Well, right now we've got about 400 cubic inches per side, and we're going to increase that to 600 inches per side. We'd like to see 1 square inch per horsepower.
Now you do some kind of test when the engine's running on a vacuum type thing. Tell us about that.
That's correct. When we're running at full load, we check the vacuum inside the engine room. It's called engine room depression, and we'd like to see a figure of 0.2 inches of water or less. And what that tells us is that we've got an acceptable amount of air getting to the engine room, and we can be satisfied that the engines will develop full power.
Well, I can't wait to see the boat actually running and some of these tests performed.
Well, it's coming up soon.
Well, it's taken us about a week to complete the repower, and we've gone ahead and checked all the systems. Now, Pat, what kind of speed do you think we're going to anticipate?
Well, we projected in excess of 30 knots, but we're optimistic we're going to do even better than that.
Well, why don't we go ahead and hit the throttles and see what this baby's going to do?
Here we go.
Now, this baby's turbocharged.
Turbocharged, intercooled.
Counter-rotating props?
Counter-rotating prop.
They're kicking in now.
Kicking in now. Our smoke limiter's letting us go.
On the final sea trial out in the ocean, we obtained the speed of 35 knots, far exceeding what we expected. Our repower was a complete success.
Chapman's Corner is brought to you by Chapman School of Seamanship.
Today on Chapman's Corner, we want to show you how to protect your docking lines from chafing. In this situation right here, we have a docking line and it's laying along the cement fascia here. After a period of time, this line is going to continually chafe on this rough edge, and what's going to happen is it's going to wear the line out and it's finally going to part. In order to prevent that, we're going to purchase a chafe guard that I have here. And you get the right size chafe guard for the size line you're working with. Very easily, you just take that line and stuff it in there, like so. Wrap it around, make sure it fits first. Place it in a position where it's going to protect the line. Take your 2 little securing strings, tie it up, and there you have it. Also, you can also go with a garden hose if you like, if you don't want to buy the chafing guard. From Chapman School of Seamanship, this is Tom Dante.
I'm again in Melbourne, Florida today at Freedom Marine, and with me is Frank Conte of Freedom Marine. Frank, thanks so much for having us out again today.
Thank you, John, for having me out.
Now today we're going to take a look at a different style of Bayliner. This is called the Sierra.
Yeah, this is the Sierra. This is more in the cruising type boats.
Okay. Now you might have seen earlier on the shows that we've featured some Capris, which are more of like a ski boat.
Yeah, more family ski boat type.
Gotcha.
Day boats.
Also Trophies, which is more like a fishing boat.
In the fishing line, that's right.
And then today we're going to talk about the Sierra.
That's right.
Now this particular boat is how big?
This is the 2655. They built 3 different models. They built the 23, the 26, and the 28 in the Sierra line.
Well, let's talk about what the amenities are with this boat here, Frank.
A boat like this here is a real nice setup on it. It has a nice big roomy aft cabin in it that'll sleep too comfortable.
Okay.
It's got a big forward V-berth that sleeps too comfortable. A regular marine stand-up head inside with shower, pressurized water system.
Well, it's very elegant.
Yes, it is.
This is more of a lifestyle boat.
Yeah, this is a martini boat.
Sure, exactly. When you're talking about you know, that type of lifestyle, you could actually take this boat and go off somewhere for a week.
Yeah, a lot of folks take a boat like this and go to the Bahamas for a week or 2.
I've got you. Let's talk about what kind of fuel capacity this boat has.
This boat here has an 80-gallon fuel tank on it. It's powered by a 350 Mercruiser.
Okay. Now, do we have any air conditioning options with this boat?
Yeah, air conditioning is an option on it.
Fantastic. You know, when you're talking about cruising to the Bahamas and you're talking about shore power, hey, air conditioning is a real nice feature.
Oh, it's a nice feature down in Florida here.
Gotcha. Let's look at some other features on the boat.
The boat comes with full canvas, wrapped around full canvas on it. A built-in depth finder is standard. VHF marine radio is standard equipment on it.
Nice.
The pressurized shower system is standard on the boat.
Well, I see you've also got lots of room for extra electronics. I mean, if you want to put GPS on the boat, and if you want to put some radar on the boat, you've got those. You've got that availability. Exactly. Let's look at some different features in that cabin. Now, what do we have? A sink?
Yeah, you've got a regular pressurized water system sink on it.
Okay.
You've got your regular range ice box.
Okay. So you can actually prepare your meals as well as the martinis. Now, do you have any kind of a wet bar or anything like that?
Yeah, basically you set up. I mean, the boat is designed for entertaining and cruising.
I've got you. I've got you. You know, again, when we're looking at Bayliner, there's some misconceptions out there.
Yeah,
let's address those.
Well, this is the new Bayliner company. They were acquired by Brunswick Corporation in 1989.
Right.
And since '89 on it, they've made some vast improvements in the quality and the construction in their boats.
Now, when we talk about Brunswick, Brunswick is the same company that owns Sea Ray. They own Robalo. They own Mercury, as well as Mercruiser. So Bayliner coming into the family, they've really added quality to Bayliner.
Yes, they have. They've really upscaled their boat from the old days, and the misconception of the quality in their boats is not there today.
Well, let's talk again about price on this boat. What are we looking at, Frank?
Price-wise, and you're looking at probably the best value 26 cruiser on the market.
Okay.
On it. You've got a boat that's actually 28 feet 9 inches overall center length on the boat.
Right.
So it appears much bigger than a lot of the competitors' 26 footers when you're walking through it. A package boat on this, you're right around 30,000.
Exactly. Now, where can people actually come out and maybe run this thing on the water?
Yeah, we're Freedom Marine. We're located on US 1 in Melbourne, Florida.
Okay.
We're a factory outlet store for Bayliner.
Well, fantastic. Frank, thanks so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be on the show.
Thank you for coming by.
We'll see you soon.
Thank you, John.
If boating's your game, then you'll agree. Ship shape is the way to be. Out on the lake or on the sea, ship shape means trouble-free. Ship shape means being neater. Ship shape makes boat work easier. Ship shape is the way to go. The Ship Shape Boat Gear Show.